Ladies and gentlemen, WWE just shocked the world by bringing back the original Tribal Chief back into action just few weeks to SummerSlam. Last night on Monday Night Raw, the WWE Universe witnessed the unthinkable. Roman Reigns, the original Tribal Chief, made his earth-shaking return. But that wasn't the only shock of the night. In the shadows of Reigns' comeback looms a new threat, a 330-pound force of nature named Bronson Reed, who has now vowed to wipe out everything the OTC stands for. Could this spell the end of Roman's reign? Or is this just the beginning of an even bigger storm heading towards SummerSlam? This is your daily dose of wrestling news, and today, we're diving deep into one of the most unpredictable turns in WWE this year. The return of Roman Reigns and the rising war that's threatening to tear the future of WWE apart. Last night's Raw was already buzzing with energy, but it exploded when Reigns returned to save CM Punk and Jey Uso from a brutal post-match assault. Just moments after Punk emerged victorious in a high-stakes gauntlet match, he and Jey were blindsided by Paul Heyman's dangerous new alliance, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. The attack was swift. It was merciless. Breaker's explosive power. Reed's crushing tsunami. It felt like the end, until the lights dimmed. Then, like thunder from the heavens, Roman Reigns' music hit. The arena came unglued. Reigns charged the ring with fury, laying out Heyman's monsters with spear after spear, sending the duo scrambling in disbelief. It wasn't just a return, it was a declaration. The Tribal Chief is back. But what does it mean? Reigns hasn't been seen in a WWE ring since his crushing defeat that ended his historic Universal Championship reign. With Solo Sikoa rising to power and declaring himself the new Tribal Chief, many believed Roman was gone for good. Maybe he was off to Hollywood. Maybe the story had ended. But last night? Last night proved otherwise. Roman Reigns is back, with vengeance, with purpose, and with fire. And that's when things got even more intense. Shortly after Raw went off air, Bronson Reed took to X, dropping a bone-chilling warning: tsunamis destroy islands. A direct shot at Roman's island of relevancy. This isn't just a threat, it's a declaration of war. Let's break this down. Roman Reigns, the longest-reigning Universal Champion in WWE history. The man who led WWE through a global pandemic. A leader. A conqueror. But now, he's returning from a loss that cracked the foundation of his empire. Is he still the same dominant force? Or is the island beginning to erode? Bronson Reed, the 330-pound juggernaut known as the Oscilla, has quietly built a reputation for destruction. His tsunami finisher is one of the most feared moves in the company. But now, under Paul Heyman's guidance, Reed is no longer acting alone. He's becoming a strategic wrecking machine. And then there's Braun Breaker, the explosive second-generation star whose blend of speed and power has drawn comparisons to both Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. Under Heyman's mentorship, Breaker's intensity is being sharpened into something deadly. But is he ready for the mind games Roman brings to the table? And what of Heyman himself? The wise man. The puppet master. For years, he stood at Roman's side, advising, protecting, and manipulating. But now, he's thrown his lot in with Reed and Breaker. Is this truly a new era he's building? Or is he, once again, playing the long game, testing Roman's loyalty, his strength, his identity? And don't forget CM Punk and Jey Uso. Punk's victory last night puts him firmly in the championship conversation. Meanwhile, Jey continues carving his own legacy apart from the bloodline. Roman stepping in to save them? That wasn't random. That was a strategic move. Maybe even a recruitment. But will they stand with Reigns at SummerSlam, or will their egos clash under pressure? There's a bigger picture here, and SummerSlam might be the battlefield. Let's explore the paths forward. Option 1, Roman Reigns vs. Bronson Reed, one-on-one, a pure collision course. The returning king versus the rising beast. Reed's been built as a monster, and a win here could elevate him to main event status. But Roman's track record in high-profile singles matches? Nearly flawless. This match would be brutal, personal, and epic, but maybe too straightforward for a show like SummerSlam. Option 2, Tag Team Warfare, Roman and Jey Uso vs Reed and Breakker. This one has emotional weight. Roman and Jey together again? The former Bloodline brothers standing side by side? That story writes itself. And it keeps CM Punk out of the direct feud, freeing him up for a separate title chase. Plus, Heyman's presence at ringside? Instant tension. Whose side is he truly on? Option 3. The long game, Heyman's master plan. Now here's the twist. What if this entire conflict is Heyman's design? What if this isn't a betrayal of Roman, but a rebuilding? In 2020, Heyman redefined Roman's character and helped launch the most dominant run in recent history. In 2023, he orchestrated bloodline betrayals like a chess grandmaster. What if now, in 2025, he's once again positioning Roman, not as a returning hero, but as a reawakened conqueror? Imagine this. SummerSlam ends with Roman victorious. Heyman enters the ring. The audience holds their breath. And then, a smile. A handshake. A revelation. Heyman never left. He just lit the fire under Roman one more time. But what if there's one more wrinkle? SummerSlam is happening in Cleveland, Ohio, CM Punk's hometown. Could this whole Roman-Punk alliance be a setup? Maybe Roman's save wasn't about helping Punk, but watching him closely. Maybe we're heading toward a collision between the tribal chief and the best in the world down the line. That would tear the roof off WWE. One thing's for sure, we are headed into the most unpredictable SummerSlam in years. With Reed's threats, Breakker's hunger, Heyman's manipulations, and Roman Reigns' resurrection, the WWE landscape is shifting under our feet. The island of relevancy is under siege. The tsunami is coming. And whether Roman Reigns sinks or swims? That's a story still being written. The possibilities are endless. And that's what makes this so exciting. Roman Reigns, back in the heart of WWE just weeks before SummerSlam, is more than a comeback story, it's a seismic reset. The question isn't just who he'll face. The real question is, who can survive when Roman decides to reclaim his throne? Social media is ablaze. Every fan, podcast, and analyst is weighing in. One moment, the conversation centers on Bronson Reed's thunderous tsunami. The next, it pivots to Paul Heyman's silence, always the calm before a storm. Reed's cryptic tweet didn't just throw fuel on the fire, it was a shot across the bow. And Roman, without saying a word, fired back with action. That's how you dominate a narrative. Yet, what's quietly simmering beneath the surface is the power shift Heyman may be orchestrating. We've seen this play before. When Heyman turns, he doesn't just betray, he restructures the entire hierarchy. In aligning with Reed and Breakker, he's not simply replacing Roman. He's trying to build something bigger, stronger, more dangerous. And the timing couldn't be more precise. Seth Rollins, the visionary, was the one force who could disrupt both Bloodline and Heyman's plans. But with his injury sidelining him for the foreseeable future, the board is wide open. Heyman's pieces are moving fast, and Roman's return might be the only countermeasure strong enough to halt him. So what happens at SummerSlam? WWE doesn't just need a great match, it needs a moment. One that redefines the landscape. Whether it's Roman vs Reed in a gladiator-style singles match, or Roman and Jey teaming up against Reed and Breakker, the emotional stakes are sky-high. You're not just dealing with wins and losses anymore. This is about legacy versus ambition, past versus future. And through it all, CM Punk lingers like a wild card. Punk's victory on Raw guarantees he's heading into SummerSlam with serious momentum. But his alignment, or conflict, with Roman Reigns could tilt everything. Let's not forget, Punk has always challenged the system, always clashed with the status quo. Roman is the status quo. For all the history and respect between them, their paths are inevitably going to collide. If not at SummerSlam, then right after. Picture this, Punk walks into his title match. He wins. the crowd in Cleveland erupts. And just when the celebration hits its peak, Roman's music hits again. No words. No attack. Just a stare from the ramp. That's all it would take. Punk would know exactly what that means. Roman's not just back. He wants it all. But back to the immediate threat, Bronson Reed. There's no denying that WWE has invested in building Reed as a destroyer. His offense is unrelenting. His frame is menacing. And with Heyman whispering strategies in his ear, he could be the breakout monster of the summer. But can he carry the psychological weight of going toe-to-toe with someone like Roman? Reed hasn't been in the deep end yet. Roman thrives there. That's what separates a good heel from a generational presence. And yet, that's the tension that makes this story compelling. Reed doesn't have to beat Roman clean. He just has to break his aura. If he walks out of SummerSlam having left Roman gasping for breath, fans will remember him. That's how you build main eventers in WWE today. Not with wins, but with moments that leave scars. Meanwhile, Breaker's development is being accelerated. A tag match would be the perfect place to test his chemistry with Reed. Their dynamic could make or break Heyman's new dynasty. And if things go sideways, don't be surprised if Breaker's explosive temper costs them the match, and leads to Heyman reconsidering who he really wants to invest in long-term. Then there's Jey Uso, maybe the most emotionally layered piece of this entire puzzle. Jey's alliance with Roman has always been turbulent, but it's never been meaningless. Every chapter, every betrayal, every save, every stare down, has been rooted in family, duty, and pain. That's what makes their possible reunion so powerful. It's not about nostalgia. It's about survival. Roman knows he can't face this war alone. Jey knows aligning with Roman puts him back in the line of fire. But when those two are together, the chemistry is undeniable. If they stand united at SummerSlam, we could witness the rebirth of something greater than the bloodline. Something evolved. As for Heyman, his betrayal, when it comes, will cut deep. He stood by Roman through title defenses, family fractures, and the darkest days of WWE. So if he's truly turned his back on Reigns, it won't just be a managerial move. It'll be personal. And when Roman finally confronts him, that confrontation won't be just a verbal exchange, it'll be an emotional detonation. Heyman's always known how to get under Roman's skin. That history may be the weapon Reed and Breaker need to finally put the tribal chief down. But don't count Roman out. His silence since returning has been louder than words. He didn't speak on Raw because he didn't need to. His presence rewrote the episode. Everyone else fell in line. Whether it's a match announcement, a bloodline reunion, or a surprise swerve at SummerSlam, Roman's return has forced WWE, and every wrestler in it, to reassess their position. He's not just a star. He's the force holding this universe together. And now, with the summer's biggest stage looming, the storm is coming. Tsunamis may destroy islands, but Roman Reigns didn't build his reign on sand. His empire is forged in blood, sacrifice, and psychological warfare. Reed may be strong. Breaker may be fast. Heyman may be smart. But Roman Reigns is all of those things, and more. SummerSlam isn't just shaping up to be a pay-per-view. It's a reckoning. The island of relevancy is under siege. The question is, will it crumble under the weight of Bronson Reed's ambition? Or will it rise from the depths, reborn and more dangerous than ever? Roman Reigns didn't return to relive the past. He came back to reclaim the future. If Roman Reigns came back to reclaim the future, then SummerSlam 2025 will be the battlefield where his legacy is tested like never before. And while Bronson Reed's tsunami threat looms large, it's not just the physical war that matters, this is a psychological siege. The cracks are forming, the alliances are shifting, and the power dynamics within WWE are teetering on the edge of total collapse. This isn't just about a match anymore. It's about who holds control over WWE's soul. Backstage rumors are swirling. Multiple sources inside WWE have hinted that Triple H and Creative are weighing a major faction war to headline SummerSlam. A tag team clash that could explode into something far more dangerous. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso on one side. Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker on the other. But here's the twist, it's not just about winning. It's about what comes after the bell rings. You can feel it. Roman isn't just back for revenge. He's watching. Calculating. Planning. His silence isn't passive, it's tactical. Why hasn't he addressed Heyman? Why didn't he speak after Raw? Because Roman knows the weight of words. When he finally opens his mouth, it will shape the future of WWE. Until then, every action speaks louder, and saving Jey Uso and CM Punk sent a message not just to Heyman, but to the entire roster: the tribal chief is not finished. But if Roman is building something again, he'll need more than family. He'll need soldiers. He'll need loyalty. And that brings us back to Jey Uso. Their past is marred with betrayal and blood. Jey was the first to bend the knee to Roman back in 2020. He became main event Jey Uso under Roman's leadership, but also became a victim of Roman's manipulation. Now, years later, Jey has carved his own identity. He's no longer in Roman's shadow, but he still stands at his side. That choice says everything. And that's what Heyman didn't count on. He thought Roman's island was deserted. He thought Solo had taken SmackDown. He thought Reed and Breaker had taken Raw. But what Paul didn't anticipate was that Roman's island still had loyal defenders. Warriors willing to bleed for the cause. Still, Paul Heyman is never truly cornered. Let's not forget, Heyman doesn't back winners by accident. He builds them. He makes them. In Reed and Breaker, Heyman has the raw materials to manufacture chaos. Reed is the perfect enforcer, brutal, stoic, and ruthless. Breaker is the engine, explosive, young, and hungry. Together, they're wrecking machines, and with Heyman's guidance, they could become more than a threat. They could become Roman's replacement. That's the play Heyman is making, not just to dethrone the tribal chief, but to erase him completely. But Roman knows Heyman too well. If there's one thing the head of the table understands better than anyone else, it's the art of control. And that's exactly what this war is about. Control over the narrative. Control over the legacy. Control over who leads WWE into its next era. If Roman loses, he doesn't just fall. He vanishes. That's why this match, whether it's a one-on-one or a tag war, isn't just Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed or Roman and Jey versus Heyman's faction. It's Roman versus obsolescence. Against time. Against the new breed. Because Reed and Breaker aren't just threats, they're symbols. They represent the future WWE wants to build: faster, harder hitting, no-nonsense machines with no baggage. No bloodline history. No emotional weight. Just destruction. But WWE isn't built on destruction. It's built on stories. And Roman Reigns is the most compelling story WWE has had in 2 decades. From the moment he turned heel, aligned with Heyman, and forced his family into submission, Roman reshaped what a top guy could look like. He became a mob boss in wrestling boots. He redefined dominance. And now, standing on the other side of the fire, he's being asked the ultimate question: can you do it again? Can Roman Reigns rebuild an empire from ash? Can he retake the table that he once ruled? And if so, what will it cost him? The cost may be higher than anyone expects. Because in this new WWE landscape, loyalty is fickle. Betrayals are currency. And even family has limits. As the days to SummerSlam tick down, there's one more shadow hanging over this war: Solo Sikoa. He's been silent. Too silent. And silence from Solo is never a good sign. Is Solo watching from SmackDown, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? Will he stand by Heyman's new faction, or does he have a play of his own? Remember, Solo was the one who took the mantle of tribal chief when Roman disappeared. That wasn't by accident. That was by design. And if Solo steps into this war, the entire balance could collapse. Imagine SummerSlam ending with not just a tag match, but a triple threat of power. Roman's side, Heyman's faction, and Solo's crew colliding in a thunderstorm of chaos. The future of WWE hanging by a thread. Who rises? Who falls? And what role does CM Punk play in all of it? Because Punk, for all his outside drama, has always found a way to make the story about him. That's not ego, it's genius. If Punk smells blood, he's going to get involved. If Roman looks vulnerable, Punk will exploit it. And if a title shot is on the line, Punk will be first in line. Whether he allies with Roman, feuds with him, or turns his back when it matters most, he'll be a factor. SummerSlam isn't one match. It's the opening chapter of WWE's next war. Reigns, Reed, Breakker, Heyman, Punk, Jay, Solo. Each of them is chasing a piece of the throne. But in the end, only one man can sit at the head of the table. The table has never been more unstable. Roman Reigns may have returned, but the foundations of his once unshakable empire are fractured. The bloodline he built through fear, family, and force is no longer intact. Solo Sikoa has gone rogue. Paul Heyman has defected. And now, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are threatening to bulldoze everything that still bears Roman's name. But if there's one thing we've learned about Roman Reigns, he doesn't rebuild quietly. He reclaims violently. SummerSlam 2025 is shaping up to be more than a pay-per-view. It's a reckoning. WWE isn't just booking matches, they're crafting a generational moment. Reigns versus Reed? A heavyweight war that would headline anywhere in the world. Roman and Jay versus Heyman's duo? A tag match built on betrayal, legacy, and redemption. But beneath both lies the real battle. Roman Reigns versus the idea that his time is over. WWE has been dropping subtle hints across Raw and SmackDown. Commentary slips in lines about new dynasties. Promos echo phrases like changing of the guard. Even the production itself has shifted. Reed and Breakker are getting prime TV real estate, long matches, extended entrances, signs that the machine is preparing for new kings. But the problem with elevating new kings? You better make sure the old one is dead. And Roman Reigns is far from dead. He proved that the second he stormed into Raw and dismantled Reed and Breakker without breaking a sweat. He didn't come back to play games. He came back to tear down the narrative that he's finished. And if there's anyone who can shift an entire storyline's momentum with a single look, it's Roman Reigns. There's a reason the crowd didn't chant "This is awesome" when he showed up. They chanted "Acknowledge him." Because they knew. Everyone did. You don't write off Roman Reigns. You prepare for his next chapter. And that's what Paul Heyman didn't count on. Heyman thinks he's built a new dynasty with Breakker and Reed, but he's forgotten something crucial. Reigns isn't just a dominant wrestler, he's a manipulator, a general, and a strategist. Everything Heyman taught his tribal chief over 3 years is now being used against him. Every little mind game. Every promo cadence. Every calculated moment of silence. Roman knows the Heyman playbook, and he's rewriting it in real time. This isn't just war. This is revenge. And it's personal. Breakker may be explosive, and Reed may be a wrecking ball, but they don't know Roman like Heyman does. And that's what makes the tension so palpable. Heyman isn't just sending his new monsters into battle. He's sending them to destroy his own creation. That's why it hurts more. That's why Roman hasn't spoken yet. Because when he finally does, it won't be just a promo. It'll be an execution. He's letting the silence burn. Meanwhile, Jey Uso's return to Roman's side feels like a ticking time bomb. Their chemistry is electric. Their history is rich. But can Jey really trust Roman again? Can Roman trust him? Every time they've stood together, something's broken. Either one of them turns, or both of them lose something. Yet here they are again, united by chaos, driven by blood. Jay's not the same man he was in 2020. He's not Roman's lackey anymore. He's main event Jey Uso, and he's proven he can carry main event stories without his cousin. That dynamic alone adds unpredictability to SummerSlam. Because even if they team up against Heyman's faction, what happens after? What happens if Roman starts barking orders again? What happens if Jay steps out of line? And what happens if Solo Sikoa walks through that curtain before the bell rings? Because that's the other wild card WWE is dangling just out of reach. Solo hasn't spoken in weeks. Not publicly. Not on SmackDown. Not on social media. But make no mistake, he's watching. He knows Heyman left him behind. He knows Roman's returned to reclaim what was once his. And Solo, who spent the last few months building his own version of the bloodline with Tama Tonga, Tanga Loa, and Jacob Fatu, might not take kindly to either man trying to claim the throne. Imagine this scenario. SummerSlam. The match ends. Roman and Jay stand tall, having beaten Heyman's monsters. The crowd erupts. Roman holds up one finger. The camera zooms in on his face. Victory. Redemption. Legacy secured. Then Solo's music hits. The crowd goes silent. He walks down, slowly. No words. No backup. Just Solo Sikoa, staring Roman dead in the eyes. One finger up. Then slowly down. A simple shake of the head. No, and just like that, the island of relevancy splits again. This is the power of long-term storytelling. This is the depth of what WWE is building. Roman's return wasn't just about finishing a feud. It's about reopening the gates to unfinished war. And if Heyman's betrayal hurts Roman, Solo's rejection could destroy him. Because that's the real story here. Roman Reigns, for all his power, is a man standing alone in the empire he built. Jay's with him, but for how long? Heyman's against him. Solo's indifferent. The bloodline is no longer a brotherhood. It's a battlefield. SummerSlam isn't the climax, it's the ignition point. And if WWE plays this right, we're about to enter the most dangerous and emotionally volatile period in Roman Reigns' career. Because the Roman Reigns we saw from 2020 to 2023. The head of the table, the Universal Champion, the godfather of the bloodline, that man ruled through intimidation and control. But this Roman? He's returning from loss. He's motivated by revenge. He's fighting to matter again. And that version of Roman Reigns, the one with something to prove, is the most dangerous version we've ever seen. Let's bring the next chapter of this war to life, no fluff, just intensity. Roman Reigns is standing in the middle of a WWE civil war, with SummerSlam drawing closer. The past is catching up, alliances are cracking, and the throne is still up for grabs. Underscore 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 time is running out, and every step Roman Reigns takes towards SummerSlam feels heavier. The return was thunderous, but it wasn't just to save CM Punk and Jey Uso. It was about reclaiming control. The tribal chief saw what WWE had become in his absence. Chaos masked as order, Paul Heyman crowning new heirs, Solo Sikoa rewriting bloodline history, and Roman decided it was time to rewrite it all. But the island of relevancy doesn't rebuild overnight. It takes blood. It takes loyalty. And right now, Roman is testing both. Jey Uso has stood beside him twice since the return, but cracks are showing. Roman hasn't acknowledged Jey publicly. No hugs. No words of reassurance. Just nods. Commands. Orders barked in the heat of battle. And Jay, while he's followed, hasn't forgotten how Roman used him as a pawn in 2020. The WWE Universe sees it, too. This isn't a reunion. It's a tense truce. And one misstep could turn tag team gold into family warfare all over again. Then there's CM Punk. Roman may have saved him from that ambush by Reed and Breakker, but Punk doesn't do gratitude. He doesn't follow anyone. And with a guaranteed shot at the World Heavyweight Championship coming up, Punk may have no choice but to step across Roman's path. Imagine the collision, CM Punk, the self-proclaimed best in the world, standing in Roman's way, not out of hatred, but necessity. Because if Roman's war crosses over into Punk's title chase, we could be looking at a dream feud for the fall. 2 icons, 2 egos, 1 prize. But there's no time to dream. Not now. Because Bronson Reed's threat is growing. He's not hiding behind Heyman anymore. He's doing interviews. Posting cryptic promos. Even throwing jabs at Roman's family. On Raw, he crushed a local competitor with a tsunami splash so violent, it had medics rushing the ring. Then he grabbed the mic and stared straight into the hard cam. Roman, islands drown. The crowd gasped. And just like that, the message was clear, this isn't just hype. Reed is coming to end Roman's return before it fully begins. Backstage, officials are buzzing. The current plan? Roman Reigns and Jey Uso vs Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker in a main event tag match at SummerSlam. With Paul Heyman ringside, pulling the strings. But nothing in WWE stays clean. Expect interference. Expect blood. Expect betrayal. Because no match involving Roman and Heyman has ever ended without fallout. But what fans don't know yet is that there's one more piece moving behind the scenes. Solo Sikoa has been spotted backstage at both Raw and SmackDown in recent weeks. WWE hasn't acknowledged it on TV. No cameras. No commentary mentions. But insiders have confirmed, Solo is watching. He's paying attention to what Heyman is doing. To what Roman is rebuilding. And more importantly, to how Jey is positioning himself. If Solo walks into SummerSlam, whether to confront Roman, betray Heyman, or stand completely on his own, he could blow the entire storyline wide open. Because if Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and CM Punk are already in motion, Solo Sikoa is the trigger. And the one person no one is talking about, Jimmy Uso, maybe the powder keg. Where is he? Last time we saw Jimmy, he was laid out on SmackDown after refusing to follow Solo. Since then, nothing. No tweets. No promos. Total silence. And in wrestling, silence isn't absence. It's danger. Imagine if SummerSlam ends not with victory, but with betrayal, from Jimmy. The twin brother of Jey. The original bloodline enforcer. What if he returns and sides with Solo? Or worse, aligns with Heyman? What if all of this, the Heyman betrayal, Reed and Breaker's rise, Roman's redemption arc, isn't about crowning a new champion, but about crowning a new bloodline? One without Roman at the head. That's the real fear. That's the tension in every promo, every stare down, every spear Roman delivers. He's not fighting just to win. He's fighting not to be replaced. Because in WWE, no one stays on top forever. Not even the tribal chief. And that brings us to the biggest looming question, what happens if Roman loses at SummerSlam? This isn't like WrestleMania. There's no belt on the line. This is personal. If Roman and Jey fall to Breakker and Reed, the damage won't be physical, it'll be symbolic. It means Heyman's new vision for WWE wins. It means the next generation, athletic, brutal, loyal to no one, has taken over. And if that happens? Roman Reigns, for the first time in his career, may have no throne to return to. He will have saved no one. Reclaimed nothing. And WWE will move on. That's the pressure. That's why this return is so powerful. Because it's not just about being back. It's about proving that back still means relevant. That Roman Reigns, even without the title, is still the axis WWE spins on. That he's still the leader, the warlord, the tribal chief. But the WWE Universe is divided. Some fans chant welcome back. Others chant tsunami. Some hold up one finger for Roman. Others scream for Breaker. And many more are still unsure, waiting to see if Roman can still rise when everything is working against him. The locker room's watching, too. Younger stars like Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov, Grayson Waller, and Austin Theory are studying every move Roman makes, because they know this SummerSlam could set the tone for the next decade. If Roman wins, he becomes the measuring stick again. If he loses, the floodgates open, and the era of tribal chief dominance becomes a memory. But no matter what, the return has worked. Roman has taken the spotlight back, without a belt, without a faction, without a promo. All it took was one moment. One entrance. One save. Now, the world waits. Because at SummerSlam 2025, Roman Reigns isn't just walking into a tag match. He's walking into judgment. And whether it's Heyman, Solo, Jimmy, or Jay who swings the axe, someone will.